and a warm welcome once again to a beautiful day here at Manfeild, the circuit. Chris Amon here on the North Island of New Zealand. Palmerston North just down the road, Feilding right here, and it's a beautiful day. Nico Kyle, the manager of the teams and drivers here at the Toyota Racing Series, just had a little bit of a situation with one of the barriers, making sure that that was put back after a crash earlier in the day, but everything is A-OK. Having a quick chat with Michelin. I'm Jonathan Green. I'll be with you for the first race of the weekend, as will Murray Taylor in the pits as we get ready. A good crowd here in Manfeild. And of course, the anticipation of what has been one of the best seasons in the 15-year history of the Castrol Toyota Racing Series. And the reason for that is that the racing has been so close, and there is nothing in it now either between Marcus Armstrong of New Zealand, Christchurch in fact, and Pogakui's Liam Lawson. They've pretty much wrapped up. 9 podiums to Liam Lawson, 4 wins, 8 podiums to Marcus Armstrong, and 4 wins as well. They both had 2 second places. And the only difference is in the thirds, and it's really close. And once again, 102.411, and by 0.233, Marcus Armstrong and Liam Lawson are again on the front row to go battle head for this first race, the Dang Higgins Trophy. And of course, a new entry to this weekend, the one and only Ken Smith. 48th Grand Prix he'll be racing in this weekend. That's tomorrow afternoon. But of course, he starts off with his first run. Looking forward to it. I spoke to him earlier in the day, getting used to left foot braking and just the sheer physicality. He was telling me that if you go over the rumble strips, there's no give in these cars because they are pure racing cars. And yep, at 77, he's doing a good job and an inspiration to us all. And that said, don't think he's slow by any means. He just got the outlap record at Hampton Downs just 2 weeks ago in a Formula 5000. So plenty of room yet for Kenny, who is going for the big 50. Down on the grid is Murray Taylor. Murray, what's going on down there?
Well, Jonathan, I can confirm that we're back up to 17 cars. The young Australian sat out that qualifying session. He'd had an issue with endorsement points on his license, so he sat it out, but he's rejoining the grid and he's on the back there with Kenny Smith. So we're back up to 17. It's very hot. The slight delay to the program was because there was some oil dropped in the GT race, and they were just checking out to make sure the circuit was up to scratch. But great to see these Kiwis sitting on the front row. The gap between them a lot more than it's been in other races. Just talking to the teams, they had an issue this morning with the tyres coming in a lot quicker than they'd anticipated.
Murray, you've been a part of the New Zealand Grand Prix with Murray Taylor Racing many years. How impressed are you by these 2 young Kiwis on the front row?
Oh, I think we've got some outstanding talent here, just really continuing that legacy that just goes back so many years. But these youngsters coming through now, following in the steps of the others over the last 15 years from the Toyota Racing Series, it really is wonderful for the future. Exciting times for New Zealand motorsport.
Well, of course, the patron and the circuit named after the great Chris Amon, who was, of course, the main patron and ambassador of this Toyota Racing Series and played a part in many of the young gentlemen out there's lives, including Marcus Armstrong. So I'm sure Chris, looking down, would be very proud to see 2 Kiwis on the front row. So we get ready. The grid is cleared and we are about to go racing. It's been a sensational month of racing, and it is just that because they do 3 races per weekend around both islands here in New Zealand. Quite different conditions, from the beautiful Highlands backdrop in the bright sunshine to the rain in Teretonga. Hampton Downs, where Marcus Armstrong definitely put down a marker for his championship hopes. Yet to win the overall title, Marcus Armstrong, but going for it today. But he's going to have to hold off the hard-charging Liam Lawson as well. But don't count out those chasing as well. Callum Williams, the Australian, has stepped up without a doubt. He's 3rd on the grid. He did a 102.9. Watching him warm up just a moment ago, and he is definitely fired up. So watch out for the number 54. And then, of course, don't count out Lucas Auer. He's the senior member of this year's squad at 24 years of age, and he certainly isn't out of the championship. So, drivers will do their formation lap, warm their tyres up, and keep an eye out also for Cameron Dass and Brendan Leach. Cameron Dass has been quick all season long, and Brendan Leach in the all-yellow ITM car in the number 86 was fastest in practice yesterday. He had an off, in fact, at the exit of Higgins in the last session, damaged the suspension, but they fixed it all up. I spoke to Brendan and he said the car is as good as it's been. Liam Lawson then leading through this group. A massive race in my opinion, because this can set the precedent for the weekend and how it's going to go. We have 3 races ahead, including this Dan Higgins Trophy, and the finale, of course, the 64th running of the New Zealand Grand Prix, one of only 2 Grand Prix outside of Formula One to be allowed to have that name. The other, of course, the Macau Grand Prix. So a rich history here in New Zealand. And if anybody wondered how strong the fraternity of motorsport in New Zealand is at the moment, you only need to look at the front row of this grid, because the world's best are here for the Castrol Toyota Racing Series. And we've had people tuning in from Brazil, from Chile, from a taxi in Malaysia, England at 1 in the morning. It's great to have all these fans in New York, in Pennsylvania, in very, very frigid Minnesota, -21 there. Well, ambient temperature here is +26. It's absolutely gorgeous out there, and it's getting hotter, and that could be a problem for the drivers later on in this race. This, of course, the Dan Higgins Trophy, 20 laps in all. The Grand Prix will be longer, and this a massive race. Who is going to get the impetus for the weekend? Liam Lawson lines up in pole position, cool, calm and collected, just 16 years of age. Alongside him, Ferrari Academy driver, 18-year-old Christchurch man, Marcus Armstrong. They've hardly raced against each other. Taronga was probably the closest they came. Marcus holding off Lawson, who was hard charging. When Lawson wins, he wins big. But when Marcus is in the zone, as we saw at Hampton, he too is unstoppable. We wait for the start then of the Dan Higgins Trophy. Go the lights, away we go. Good start from Marcus Armstrong. Away goes Armstrong, and Lucas Hour's got away well too. Down to Toyota for the first time. It's Armstrong who leads Liam Lawson. Hour tries round the outside but slots into 3rd place. Good start from Brendan Leach. He's coming right round the outside. And it's neck and neck between Lawson and Hour as they head towards the splash, and there will be one if that goes wrong. Lawson gets through. But what a start from Brendan Leach. He's up to 4th place already. Somebody on the dust and dirt, but okay. I think that's Peter Petacek. Into turn 4, the hairpin. And now down the back straight goes Marcus Armstrong, stretching the legs of that Ferrari-looking car for the Toyota Racing Series as he dives into Higgins for the first time. Liam Lawson, right behind him, has snatched on to 2nd place after a brave move through splash to hold off Lucas Hour. But it's Brendan Leach who's the big mover. Leach up to 4th place. Really good start by the man from Invercargill. Cameron Dass is also in the hunt. They come into the double apex last corner here at Manfeild in front of the big crowd. And that'll be a warming sight to see 2 Kiwis leading the way as they cross the line. Callum Williams dropped down a couple of places, and now Cameron Dass attacking him down the inside of Toyota. That for 4th place overall. Williams holds on. And already the field starting to spread out and this race settling down. Go ahead, Murray.
Well, Jonathan, that was certainly not the start that Marcus was looking for, that Liam was looking for. Got the jump there, Marcus, absolutely. But it's now stabilised, and it'll be interesting to see how Liam can close down that gap.
Yeah, it's amazing. If Liam's had an Achilles heel throughout this season, it has been his start. He had wheel spin in the wet at Taronga. Marcus took off, and then Lawson had to reel him in, and I think that will be the case in this one. Fastest lap so far, Brendan Leach, a 1:08.1 on that first lap. No surprise, really. But as you say, starting to settle down now. And Marcus has just got to keep his eye on the clock and his mirrors as he takes a 1:04.6 and ups the pace. And that is good driving by the young Ferrari driver. I know they're watching at Maranello. his former teammates, Robert Schwartzman, our champion from last year, Mick Schumacher, on to bigger and better, all of them. But they're all watching Marcus to see how he goes against this young buck, the 16-year-old from Pokakui, born in Hastings. And it's been that way throughout this season. A slight lock-up into the hairpin for Lawson, but that's his style. He loves to really push hard. He's unfettered at the moment. Armstrong sometimes seems as though he's got the world on his shoulders, and well, he might when you've got a Ferrari sticker on your back. Everybody expects you to win at all times. His father Rick has been following him, of course, an ex-driver himself. And Lawson, if anything, reeling him in this lap. The two of them pulling away from the rest of the field. It's been like this all season long. Last time out at 104.6 from Marcus. I think Lawson will counter back now as they come towards the line. We'll check the times. They cross the line now. And sure enough, Lawson does a 104.4, only a tenth quicker on the third lap than Armstrong, but enough to just narrow the gap and pull away from Lucas Auer in third place. Lucas Auer actually has been a bit of a revelation. I was talking to Greg Siddell, who looks after him and has looked after many of the great drivers over the years. And Lucas was definitely down in the dumps, changed cars just before Hampton, and just felt a lot more comfortable. And from there on in, he's been winning.
All happening at the front, Jonathan, but meanwhile at the back, Kenny Smith's tagging in there. He's behind Petrov, and he's not losing ground.
He's not losing ground, and I'm glad you're doing Kenny Watch, because it needs to be done, because this is a monumental feat for Kenny Smith. I mean, anybody who knows New Zealand motorsport will have seen Kenny over the years. First won this race back in 1976. Can you believe it? The circuit is named after Chris Amon. He raced against him. And now he's racing young Armstrong. And the car's gone off. And it looks like Thomas Smith, number 16. No damage by the looks of things, but Smith had a front wing problem. It's suspension damage. It's definitely not suspension damage. And a flat tyre on the rear left. He'll be in. Murray, keep an eye out. Thomas Smith coming in quick.
Yeah, he's just making his way down the pit road now.
So, not been a good weekend for the young Aussie. He was given too many penalising points to go out in qualifying, and now he's thrown it off the road, and damage to the suspension and a rear flat tyre as he comes in. Good battles, though, starting to form in the midfield. And Kenny Smith very much hanging in there at the moment. But at the front, still, Armstrong, Lawson and Auer. Leach has lost a little time. Fastest lap of his race so far, Esteban Muth at 7th place.
Yeah, Smith staying in the car. They're working on the left rear, Jonathan.
Yep. Well, that was Ryle Hyman getting very wide indeed and out of shape. He somehow gathered it together, but he was on a big-time rodeo ride there, the Brit. Not been an easy weekend for Ryle Hyman. So, the field settling down again. There's Ryle Hyman. He's still circulating, obviously. And he's got Parker Locke just behind him. Parker Locke showing some real form in the practice sessions in the weekend. And now trying to challenge Ryle Hyman. That would be a good scalp for him. Ryle Hyman, already a champion in Asia, coming here. One of the most experienced drivers we've got as we look. With 15 laps to go, Marcus Armstrong. And this is how Marcus likes to do his racing. From the front and in control. He controls the pace. He controls how the race will be. He can keep an eye on his mirrors. And once he's in that zone, it's very hard to stop him. Talking to Stuart, his engineer, over the weekend. Stuart and Dave, the two guys who look after these young men. Very different racing drivers, Liam Lawson and Marcus Armstrong, but they get it done. And the gap up to 0.9 now by Armstrong. Armstrong doing a really good job.
Jonathan, Callum Williams holding in there in 5th place. He's ahead of a couple of race winners, Cameron Daz and Esteban Muth. Good drive from the young Australian.
Yeah, he has come on dramatically in the last 3 weeks, and I think he was out of sorts after Highlands. Out of his depths, I think he felt, but now he's back in the zone. He's got himself sorted with his TRS car and doing a really good job, especially on this weekend so far. So no change at the front. Lucas Auer still out there in 3rd place. Kotaka looking to make a move. on the number 11. That's Jackson Walls, the young 16-year-old from Australia. Kotaka's manager here from Toyota. Good to see him. We had people from the live stream from Japan. Great to have them on board, watching all around the world. The interest in this series is growing year on year. 15 years now. One of the longest running series of single-seaters, I think, in the world. As they cross the line again. Fastest lap starting to go. Brendan Leach does a 104.5. Just behind him, Callan Williams has got the hurry up. Can they catch up to Hour in the time they've got left? Certainly with 13 laps to go. Problem for Dev Gore. Raoul Hyman coming alongside him. What's happened to Gore, I wonder? And Kenny Smith, 15th at the moment now with Tommy Smith out. And we look back now, further down that grid, and there is Dev Gore. And that's who Kenny had his sights set on, because in practice, that was the closest man he was to. Parker Locke just behind him.
Jonathan, I guess we'll do the numbers at the end of the race, but the way it's shaping up, we're going to be going into Grand Prix Sunday with them almost neck and neck on Sunday, Jonathan. Good prospect shaping up.
Well, and of course, we've got that prospect also of a reverse top six, which will put, if this stays the way it is, both men either 5th and 6th or 7th and 8th, which will make race 2 really interesting. But as you quite rightly point out, it'll be level pegging pretty much. Kotaka looking for a way past Jackson Walls into Toyota and pulls it off as we take a look. There it is. Beautifully done into Toyota. It's nicely cambered. I went round the track in the Lexus. Beautiful Lexus with Chris Pither earlier in the weekend, and got a feel for the track, and a lot more camber than perhaps the TV shows. And you can certainly get deep into these corners. Good battle this. At the back of it, Florescu of Romania. Really good battle. Kotaka leading it in the green and black, the young Toyota driver. Sounds like Tommy Smith is back out. Murray, looks like everything okay?
Well, it's starting to look like Liam hasn't got an answer for this pace of Marcus. Marcus is extending, if anything. At one stage, he looked to be closing, but Marcus is really in control now.
Well, he's just done the fastest lap of the race, a 103.9, and that's some 2/10 quicker. So he's putting down the hammer for sure now, and that's just at the right time too. Now, Thomas Smith has just rejoined, and he's rejoined in front of Marcus Armstrong, and that's a problem, because if he joins and they meet up at Higgins, which is the likelihood, that's the last kind of scenario that Marcus wants, because that could just allow Lawson to catch up a little bit. We're looking at Lucas Hour. If they finish the way it is at the moment, there will be just 1 point between Liam Lawson and Marcus Armstrong.
I think a sleepless night and prospect for a couple of young Kiwis.
Now, I talked to Lawson last night. Sleeps like a baby, he says. And that's what's so great about watching Liam Lawson. He's totally unfettered, and I think that's the beauty of being 16 and not done that much international racing. The pressure's not on him. Doesn't feel it. Just enjoying it, as he should. Now, Thomas Smith, as they dive into turn 1, is directly in front of Marcus Armstrong, and he'll want to get past him as soon as he can. First opportunity really is into the turn 4 hairpin after the splash. Here they come. Marcus lining him up. He'll wait probably till they get through there and then take him down the back straight, because he doesn't want to get mixed up behind Smith, who's definitely slower. Good driving from Smith. He gets out of the way, and now Lawson will try and get by as well down this back straight. Good driving from Smith, sensible stuff. Doesn't want to get in the way of the championship hunt for sure. The gap has increased now between Marcus and Liam. And Marcus continuing to be the only man in the 103s.
So a lot of thought going into this race from these two drivers. As you saw during the testing during the week, Marcus was playing it cool. He sat out one session. He went for a full tank run in another one. It really has come down to a thinking.
Yeah, no question about it. I think the main reason for doing that was he didn't really want the other. Oh, there's a big crash at the last corner. Massive crash into the dust and dirt. Goes the number 9. That's Peter Petacek of the Czech Republic. He's checked out, folks.
There's 2 cars.
Oh, and Katota was involved as well. That's a nasty incident.
Yeah, 2 cars down there into the tyre wall, Jonathan.
Yeah, Kazuta, Kato. Kotaka also involved in that incident, the two drivers. And that was a fast accident at the last corner, the double apex turn 7. Out comes the safety car.
Yeah, full course yellows, the safety car's gone out. I suspect we'll get a lap or two behind the safety car. Wouldn't be surprised to see this red flagged.
Yeah, and that might well be the case, because obviously we want to save laps. Luckily, both drivers clambering out, and such is the safety of the Tatus chassis. And the man who invented it is here this weekend. Great to have him on board.
Well, Jonathan, this changes everything.
Yes, it does.
This gives Liam another crack at it.
Certainly does. Also, the back marker, Thomas Smith, is between them. He's in third place between Lawson and Auer. And there is Peter Petacek, Kotaka, just getting a little bit of information.
Just looking back, Jonathan, this has happened so many times this year that someone's got a break. They haven't been able to hold on to it because there's been either a yellow flag or a red flag, and they've had to start all over again. So it's like a double whammy. Yeah,
it's a big learning curve. This is part of racing, and they see this in Europe all the time. And of course, the Toyota Racing Series, that's what it's all about. It's about teaching these young kids their racecraft and how to act under these circumstances of pressure. 27 degrees ambient temperature now, and it'll be hot in those cockpits. And now the concentration is key. And also, Marcus Armstrong needs to get away from the start.
And Jonathan, need I remind you, New Zealand Grand Prix last year, safety car, hot conditions, a restart, and what happened? The car went into limp mode. It cost him the title, it cost him the championship. This is his worst nightmare.
Yeah, it is, and you could say you've forgotten about it, you could say you've moved on, but nobody does. You don't ever forget losing the Grand Prix and the title. Well, that was a big incident, folks, and obviously we're under safety now with 8 laps to go. Let's take a look at what happened in that incident involving the number 9, Peter Petacek, and Kotaka.
And the red flag is out now.
Oh, that's so unlucky. Kotaka, just on a very fast line, spun out, and he was, Petacek just got caught in that incident. So, got a feel for him, for sure. Very upset, had nothing really to do with it, all Kotaka at the moment. And sadly, you can see you don't have to be a lip reader or a helmet reader to know what he's saying, which is he's fed up with the whole thing because he was going good. They have red flagged it. And so we come to a stop here. Fans loving it. All the mechanics and engineers running to their cars to make sure that they can get them started. Murray, I've never seen you run so fast.
You must be looking at someone else. I'm walking down the pit road. A big crowd here for Saturday. A really good crowd, enjoying the sunshine, enjoying some great racing. The cars have come to a stop just behind the dummy grid, just waiting patiently while they recover these 2 cars. But people sheltering under umbrellas. It's a sweltering day.
Yes, it is. And there's a very annoyed Czech running down and kicking the gravel and not very happy about it. And Kotaka trying to... They're going to get in the truck together, the rescue truck. That's going to be a good Toyota fun ride. Back to the pits. Luckily, it's not too far. So, we build again. And now, Marcus Armstrong, Liam Lawson, Lucas Auer, Brendan Leach, Callan Williams 5th, Cameron Das 6th, Esteban Muth 7th, Petru Florescu of Romania up in 8th. This is one of his best runs so far. And Jackson Walls in 9th position. I think he finished 10th in one of the races previously, so Jackson Walls looking for another good result. Raul Hyman struggling somewhat, and Parker Locke of San Antonio in Texas having his best run. He's 11th at the moment, ahead of Dev Gore. Kenny Smith in 13th, and obviously out Kotaka, Petacek. Smith is back out on track, but a lap down, and Artem Petrov.
Well, time now for the drivers just to gather their thoughts. The mechanics are out on the grid waiting with the restart batteries, but an anxious time for the drivers.
Yeah, Murray, you might want to check when we get going again what happened to Artem, because he obviously didn't make the grid, and he obviously isn't even taking part in the race, so that's a very odd situation. There was a gap in the grid at the start. I'm glad to see that Peter Petacek is okay, and he'll head to medical for a quick look over. And Murray, if you get a chance, maybe you can find out what's going on with those boys. They're just going into the medical, which is normal procedure here at Manfeild. Quite a lot of damage to the back of Kotaka's. I feel for him because he was having a good weekend. the young Japanese. He's off to do the Japanese F3 Championship, which, of course, Nick Cassidy, former champion and Grand Prix winner here, was a champion of, and now has gone on to bigger and better, racing for Lexus in the Super GTs and, of course, in Super Formula. Racing against, of all people, Jenson Button last year. Well, he's going to have to race Lucas Auer this year, because Lucas is here honing his skills to go to Japan in a few weeks' time.
And Jonathan, the word on Artem, he was under the weather. I think there's a health issue, so he did not take the start.
Yep, these guys are starting to feel it physically, there's no question. Lawson had a bit of a sore throat at the start of the weekend, but he's A-OK. And it really does sap you. There's a lot of heat, there's a lot of racing, and physically and mentally, this is a tough, tough 5 weeks. What a beautiful sight that is, looking up into the hills of Manfeild.
So when you think about it, Jonathan, these drivers are in the car 4 days out of 7 every week for 5 weeks. It's relentless.
Yeah, and so different to a regular season. I mean, in a regular season, just so people understand, they're racing every 3 weeks, maybe every 2 weeks. So, like you say, they're in the car for 4 days, but then they get a week off, and then they go training, and they start rebuilding and looking at data. Here, it's just relentless, as you say. And very different tracks and different conditions. I mean, when you compare this to Terratonga and the pouring rain and wind, couldn't be more different. What a beautiful day. So we await the resumption of this race. 8 laps to go. And just a reminder, 2 more races tomorrow, including, and we'll live stream it, the qualifying in the morning. Just seeing they're bringing Thomas Smith back into the pits again, and obviously he's not in the equation, so they've got him out. They've basically got him out of the way.
Well, Jonathan, I think they figure he's at the back of the field. They'll come in and use this time just to have a better look at the car.
Yep.
And he will rejoin at the back of the field again.
Well, it's been a tough weekend. Peter Petacek involved in an earlier incident as well as the incident we just saw him get involved in. Here it is. And just going a little bit too wide, and it was he and Raoul Hyman. Then he got onto the grass there, managed to get back on. Dust flying up, but that's a scary moment. I tell you, that's a fast corner too, that first corner. And then, of course, it all came to naught when he came together with Kotaka. Sadly, Peter, a bit of a passenger.
Well, Jonathan, I've got Peter with me now. Peter, what happened in that incident?
I crashed with Kazuto. That's about it. His teammate squeezed him almost onto the grass, onto part that there's absolutely no grip. He lost the car, and I was just very close behind him. I saw an opportunity. I was not sure if they're going to crash or if they're going to make the corner both. They didn't make it. Kazuto spun, and since I was really close to, I don't know who that was, I just had no opportunity, and Kazuto just touched my car, and I flew to the barriers. That's it.
It's been a bit of a frustrating day for you.
No, it's been a frustrating 5 weeks for me. If it would be only a day, I wouldn't be so mad. It's been 5 weeks of pain, so I just hope tomorrow we get over it and we can do something in the New Zealand Grand Prix.
Well done.
Great interview, and I tell you what I do love about Peter. He's honest on his sleeve, tells it like it is. Typical Czech. They love their sport, and they're very passionate about motor racing. And I've met a lot of Czechs in motorcycle racing in the past, and Peter's right out of that ilk. And he's just had a disappointing. He's had a lot of bad luck, and he came with high aspirations. He's one of the younger guys here, and he's learned a lot, like they all have. But I know that he'll want to bounce back, and it's just great to hear him say that he's ready to take on the New Zealand Grand Prix. Talking of bouncing back, our very own Liam Lawson was doing a bit of that not too long ago, because check this out, over the rumble strips and bouncing literally out of the first corner. I hope there's no damage to that car, but he'll certainly have felt that. I was talking to Kenny Smith about that. He said there's no give to those bumps. He said when you go up in the air, you know about it, because you come down and heavy on your back. Well, the man creeping up the board at the moment, Kenny Smith, in 13th at the moment. The 13th race of the year. Is he going to get lucky?
Jonathan, both drivers out of the medical centre, both fine. I can't say the same for the cars that have just come back on the truck. It's going to be a bit of work for the mechanics. Wheels at all crazy angles. So they're being offloaded at the moment. The safety car is leading them away again.
So here we go. Thanks, Murray. Yeah, and hats off also to the engineers who do a fantastic job. They'll have those cars ready and fettled for tomorrow morning's qualifying, and guarantee you they had Leach's car done in a matter of hours to get into this race, because that practice was this morning, and they've fettled the whole car, rearranged the suspension and got some new suspension arms, and Leach currently in 4th position. Now, the restart of this race is critical, but this is where Marcus Armstrong, if there's one thing that you can say about Marcus Armstrong that he's really, really brilliant at, it's restarts, and certainly has been in the past, and he's probably got the most experience. We saw that Cameron Dass struggled during the week, during the earlier weeks at Hampton while leading a race, but not Armstrong. He knows how to play this game very well, and it's one of the hardest games in motor racing, which is you've got to judge the safety car. When the lights go off, you, as the leader of the race, then control the race and you accelerate away. But there are rules to it, many of which Marcus is all too aware of. Liam Lawson, though, knows if he's going to win this race, he's got to do it in this next couple of laps, because once Armstrong gets in the zone, as we saw earlier, he just piles on the laps, and he's still the fastest man out there so far with a 103.9 to Lawson's 104.1. Not much, but enough to give him that little bit of an edge. And we've said earlier, we've hardly seen them race together on track that much. When Lawson won at Highlands, he won by 9 seconds in race 1. When he won race 3, he won by 10. And then, of course, the closest they came was when Armstrong was holding off Lawson at Teretonga and holding him around the outside of the loop. He may have to do that again. Murray?
3 Kiwis in the top 4, Jonathan, on New Zealand Grand Prix weekend. That's great for the home team.
Yeah, no question about it. That should put some tickets on the door, and it was great to see all the camera crews down here yesterday and getting an eyeful of some really good Kiwi stories. Not just Kenny Smith coming to the Grand Prix, but as you say, a host of 3 very, very good Kiwi drivers, all with international experience and all following in the footsteps of Brendan Hartley. Talking of which, congratulations to Brendan on his new contract with Ferrari. He joins the fold and will effectively be in the same team lineup with Marcus Armstrong, who of course is a Ferrari Academy driver. And it seems somewhat apt if he leads this and wins this race here at the circuit. Chris Amon, the great Chris Amon, of course, a Ferrari driver in his time. So then, the safety car pulls away from the field. Armstrong tucks them all up behind him into Higgins. He now has the race. Lawson, mighty overtakes around the outside has been his benchmark. Will he do it now? Time running out. I believe the impetus of the weekend will go with the winner of this race. A lot of racing still to come, though. Can Leach get the launch he wants? Or will Auer choose this time to make himself a player in this fascinating run for the 2019 Toyota Racing Series? Here we go then, out of turn 7, accelerating away. Armstrong pulls away from Lawson. Auer's very close to Lawson as they head towards Toyota. Cameron Dass under pressure from Muth, side by side, the pair of them. Everyone holding station into the first corner. Cameron Dass takes the inside line on Muth, can't get past him. Muth accelerates away and holds his position. Into Splash, Armstrong pulling away, but Lawson's recovered well. And as I said, Lawson, if he's going to pounce, it needs to be in the next couple of laps. He doesn't want Marcus to settle down. Lots of different lines as Cameron Dass pushing on now. Florescu trying to get past the American. Good battle in the midfield behind Dass. Raoul Hyman trying to hold off the man to his right and getting hung out to dry as Florescu out of Higgins. So a good clean restart, but already Lawson and Armstrong pulling away from third place Auer. We'll take a look at the times as they come through this last turn. Cameron Dass still holding off Florescu for now. Armstrong 104.5, just 0.2 quicker. A jink round the outside for Dass. It's the long way round that though, and Cameron knows it. Still trying to get past Muth. Into the Splash, and Cameron all over the back of the Belgian. Race for Carlin in the UK. Looking to go back to Europe. Through comes Raoul Hyman on Florescu. Can't quite pull it off. Getting the drive out of here, so important down the back straight. Meanwhile, Armstrong and Lawson are pulling away. Laps running out for both of them. The fight is on behind them, though. Everybody locking up. Into Higgins they go. Parker locks in a fight. Whoa! Hung out to dry is Jackson Walls. He comes back to the inside on Raoul Hyman. Good racing this, and they're real jostling for position. Raoul Hyman trying to defend from Jackson Walls from Australia. Hyman got his work cut out for Giles. They cross the line again, a 1:04.0 this time from Armstrong, upping the pace again. Another 2/10 quicker, and that's why the gap is already up to 0.7 of a second, which doesn't sound much, but when you're racing, it's a lot. Get over a second, and Lawson is going to be really hard-pressed to get on level terms, if not try to make an attack. And at the moment, again, Marcus Armstrong is taking this race by control and leading the way. Brilliant restart by the Christchurch man. And like I said, this is when he's most comfortable, out front and doing his own thing. Cameron Dass still all over the back of Muth, and he hasn't been able to get past him. It's one thing we've learned about Esteban Muth, a race winner at Taupo. The Belgian does not like to be overtaken and manages to get that car as wide as he can, and he's a very hard task to overtake for sure. His brother O'Neill is here. You can see Cameron trying different lines, and that just lost him big time there. He went off onto the marbles here at the last corner. And the time clicking down now. 2 laps to go. Marcus Armstrong in full control of this one. Try as he might, Lawson can do nothing about it. May have to settle for second place. Not his remit very often. But this is the way we wanted to start the weekend. 1 point between them going into Grand Prix Sunday. And it would be great to see these two on the international stage in the years to come. A lock up from Lawson there into Higgins. That won't give him any more time, but you can see he's pushing. No mistake so far from Marcus Armstrong, and he looks at his mirrors, I'm sure, down this back straight towards turn 7. Both of them on 4 wins. Both of them almost equal on podiums. Marcus got 1 more podium. Liam's got 1 more podium. They cross the line again. Armstrong, a 1:03.9 his best, a 1:04 time this time. So again, he ups the pace. 3/10 quicker than Lawson last lap. And now the gap is over a second. And while he won't be breathing easy, that is a good lead with 1 to go. That means he is in control. Lucas Auer stays 3rd. Brendan Leach is not going to be able to put any pressure on him. Callum Williams is going to stay 5th by the looks of things. Into Higgins again. Marcus Armstrong on his way to victory. A perfect result so far for the weekend for Marcus Armstrong. The checkered flag is waiting for the man from Christchurch. Marcus Armstrong takes win number 5 in 2019 ahead of his arch rival and teammate Liam Lawson. 3rd across the line is M2 Competitions Lucas Auer. It's an M2 1-2-3, and Brendan Leach of Victory Motorsport is the next Kiwi across the line in 4th place. But that was a masterful display by Marcus. Brilliant stuff by Marcus Armstrong. And I said somebody needed to get the impetus, and Marcus Armstrong is the man to do that. He goes into the Grand Prix and looking for his championship for the first time, his 3rd time in this Toyota Racing Series. Came back to have 1 more crack at it. Great run for M2 Competition. Marcus Armstrong then with the result, 1 second faster over the line than Liam Lawson. Lucas Auer 3rd. Victory Motor Racing's Brendan Leach in 4th place. Then Australia's Callum Williams in 5th, and Esteban Muth holding off Das, Florescu in 8th, Raoul Hyman 9th, and Jackson Walls rounds out the top 10 for MTech Motorsport. A great race and a great way to set up the Grand Prix Sunday. 1 point between the two Kiwis. It just doesn't get any closer than that. We'll be back with all the action for race 2 and race 3 tomorrow.